Yeah.
You get all the phone calls, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was all enthusiastic about leaves when we got.
We are, yes. Everything that Westar touches.
Just not doing them right now.
But we will as we move forward, but yeah, we'd like to focus on the majority and then we spread out.
That's what's coming.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah. So we make sure we do those areas.
The single biggest selling product you would have is the automatic across Westar that the power supply.
I know. It's gonna be something to get used to.
Yeah.
Sorry. So before we get started here, we're going to go into executive session, but we're not going to do number 5 tonight. Sorry. So before we get started here.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. We'll do that when everybody gets here.
Oh, okay.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Yep.
And I'll talk to you about it.
Okay.
How about that? Do that motion.
All right, I just forgot it was on there. Okay, are we ready? All right. Good evening. I think we're having vibration here or something. Welcome to our city study session and special meeting. Please turn off all cell phones during the meeting. The first item on the agenda is a quarterly report from the Leavenworth School District. Mr. Roth.
Good evening, everyone.
Evening.
It seems like these quarterly reports are like every other week. Not that I mind coming, it's just trying to get the information. But, so tonight I'm here to share more so than to report, I guess. I don't know if you received these. We try to send them out, but here's our newest Pioneer Pride that goes out to most people in the school district, which would encompass the city as well. Again, proud of that. It really summarizes a lot of the things that have happened up to this point in our school system. Some great pictures of students doing good things, our athletic teams, and so it's just a good caption of what's going on with the entire district. And so I believe we have almost every building represented there multiple times, and so lots of positive things. The other thing that I have, we have our a cappella choir going to be performing downtown on the Tuesday, December 12th, and so here's a flyer on that I think will be fantastic. And then one more thing I have to share, and then I'll just report on a couple things. This is our bracket for our 23rd Annual Citizens National Bank basketball tournament held at the high school. We have 8 teams participating in this from across the metro area, and so we're excited to be able to bring their families into this community to hopefully not only support their children, but eat at our restaurants and fill up with gas and do those types of things as well. I'm not sure on how much information that I know that Mr. Richmeyer reported in the newspaper the other day. About a week ago, we had a student at Nettie Hardnett that had a threat, proposed a threat, verbal threat. And I just kind of want to give the commission kind of a synopsis of that. So even though we had the threat, we take all of those types of things as serious as possible, which we should. But the key element to that, as I was able to watch it from the central office and see kind of in a command situation, your police department come in and do a fantastic job with a quick response, was truly, you know, in a situation like that, from my perspective, I'm tense, I'm worried, I see a lot of things happening, but when you see the professionalism of the police department and the quick response that they had for us, it gives an ease of those types of situations as they unfold, especially with a positive result that there was nothing, but it was a threat. And so I just want to commend publicly and appreciate the work that our police department has done. They respond to our school on numerous occasions and always do a good job. And so no one likes to see that as a family member or as a school employee or as a member of our community wants to have that type of action from a school system or any public setting. But knowing how quickly the police responded and how professionally they responded and how they helped us work through some things that we could change was something that I can't say enough about. So I thought this would be a great opportunity to share that little bit of incident, but also publicly compliment those guys that put their lives on the line for us every day. And so as a taxpayer and as the superintendent of our school, I appreciate the jobs that they do.
Thank you.
That's very reassuring.
Do you have cameras in all the schools?
We do.
You can monitor?
We have a lot of cameras throughout our building. And so like that situation, one of the things that we changed is that we were able to basically watch that as it's reported to us. As 911 comes across, we get notified.
You can see it
and
right
so
away.
we can pull in and actually have communication through our telephone system if need be. In this situation, everything was happening pretty quickly, and rightfully so. And so we were able to watch that as it was happening.
Wow.
And so
That's pretty
it's
exciting.
pretty powerful. It's I would prefer to be on site as soon as that call, but
Sure,
I would
but
just
you
be in the
can't
way
always-
and they wouldn't let me
Right.
anyway. And
Right.
so we were able to watch that and then as soon as it was over, then we were able to get to the building and debrief with the administration.
Great.
But we have a lot of cameras in all of our buildings. And then the last thing that I have, DLR continues to gather information on the possible bond. When I reported to you last time, we were just kind of initiating that process, and we had hoped to be done here in December and have the board vote at their board meeting on the 20th, either to push the bond out to the voters and start educating on what we're going to do. And as they're gathering information from the community and the different groups, we're kind of slowing down just a little bit. And so it'll probably be January before the board decides whether or not to move forward. We felt like we needed a few more meetings really to answer questions of the why and to gather that information to support the why. And so they actually had a meeting this evening with another site council, and they have 2 more meetings set up with community members, and then a work session possibly with the school board prior to making that decision. And so nothing has been set. There's no scope of work that's been defined yet. And so we're waiting as they kind of put that information together to report back to us of what the people of the community either want us to do or don't want us to do within that. So hopefully at the next report, we have a kind of a finalization of exactly what we're doing and how we're proceeding forward with either a bond realignment or something like that in the future.
Great. When is school out for the holiday?
I believe, Christmas, I believe it's on that Tuesday, the 22nd or 21st. So today's what, the 4th or 5th?
5th.
All my days run together, so it'd be 2 weeks from, would that be right, 2 weeks from today? No,
So the week before Christmas. Then.
right,
Great.
so. I never look forward to the breaks because I enjoy
You
what I
still
do.
Good answer.
I thought you were going to say you still have to work anyway.
That much is true. That much is true, but no, it's good. And I appreciate the opportunity to take some of your time each of these times and share a lot of positive things about what's going on in our school.
Thank you. Thank you
so
for
much.
bringing this because I don't get it in my mail. I don't know. Some of them
No,
probably
not,
don't. You don't
probably because
I'll
don't have
leave,
anybody going to school.
I'll leave the rest.
leave some for, yeah. It'd be good. Thank you.
And here's some extra brackets if anybody would like them.
Thank you,
Have a
sir.
good evening, and
You
too.
I'm
You too.
sure I won't be back before the holidays, so have a great
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is the West Star Energy Smart Meter Update.
Madam Mayor and Commission, we have Eric Van Besselaar from West Star here to talk to you about the automatic meter reading project they're doing.
Okay.
I think he put it up here. Well, good evening, and I first want to say thank you very much for taking time this evening and allowing us to come and tell you a little bit about the project we've got going on. So I'm sure throughout the years you heard quite a bit about smart metering or AMI metering that's been going on throughout the country. West Star Energy started into our project of smart metering back in 2012, where we went into the Lawrence area and kind of did a test pilot with the technology and what it could do for us. About 3 years ago, we jumped out and we started then with a full deployment throughout West Star Energy of smart metering. So As of in the last about 2 to 3 weeks, we have started in the Leavenworth, Lansing areas with a few people doing some meter change outs. And tonight I'll kind of go through exactly
Okay.
how we're proceeding with that. So 23,000 meters will be upgraded in the area. We did, like I mentioned, we were able to get started in November right on our scheduled date. We expect to be completely finished. And when we say completely finished, it's about 98% is what we usually are shooting for. By probably into first quarter of 2018. This is about a $3.5 million investment in the Leavenworth area with the technology, the equipment, the meters itself. And some of the upgrades and the benefits to customers is what really has driven this project for Westar. You know, the anytime up-to-date use cost information, I've got a slide in here that'll show you what the any customer will see at any given time. Alert features, which is a great use for families who are on tight budgets. They can actually go out and set an alert and allow themselves to understand what their electric usage is for the month and where they're at on cost, literally day to day, and what their budget will end up looking like if they keep using in that. It allows for self-control then, being able to conserve. Automated service orders. That's been our biggest effect from AMI metering. We had somebody, not from this area, but just last week, right before the Thanksgiving holiday, they were moving into a house, had completely forgot about electricity. They called in on that Wednesday, and our normal window would have been a 4-day working window, and we were able to get those people turned on in 8 minutes. After they completed everything and we did what we needed to do, 8 minutes later they had electricity at their home. So outage alerts from meters. These meters do have an alert in them that tells us when power outage is going. So if you sign up for it, we can let you know that the power is out at your house and give you an estimated time of restoration at that point in time. It also helps us in storm situations. Hopefully, as we go into the winter here, knock on any type of wood, that we do not have those kind of situations.
Right.
But in the past, we've always worked orders as best we can, and then we did what we called an order dump, and we literally got rid of all the orders, and we asked people that if you're still without electricity, please call us. This year, we will know that. If they're still without electricity, we're going to know who it is and be able to respond to them and get their electricity back on, hopefully much, much quicker. Of course, it completely eliminates estimated bills. For somebody who started in the call center and as a customer service rep and was a meter reader for 12 years, you know, meter reading is going away in the industry, and that's okay. It's eliminates any kind of misread or any kind of estimated bill a customer may have. We're able to get up to the minute reads and supply a corrected bill for all of our customers. And it supports all kinds of billing options in the future. Of course, that would be with KCC approval and everything, so nothing that is there today. So basically an AMI network is a network routing, and I always kind of go backward. It starts with a command center, which is basically a customer service system that sits in the background taking all the information. With that, the RF collectors, we do have several collectors. You'll notice that just past the high school on the north side of the practice fields up the hill, there is a pole with with 4 large antennas attached to the pole. That is a full collector. It's kind of looks like this right here. And that is one of the collectors that is taking data from all the meters. It does have a TCP/IP backhaul system to it, so it is a secure cellular system for backhaul of information back into the network. Everything then is also, what we call a router is just a really powerful meter. It's no more than that. It just helps route the talking of the meters right back to the collectors. And then, of course, the endpoint, the RFs and the meters. A lot of the situations we have, people are confused with RF and radiation, and these are just simply radio frequencies. Yeah, is all they are. Operates at about the same frequency, 902 to 928, of what an old 1980s portable telephone would look like in your home with the big antenna. And, yeah. So I always go back to the days. So the meter exchange process, which you've probably, maybe some of you have a new AMI meter here, but our meter process, our exchange process, these are done by Westar employees. We do have a very few amount of contractors who are working for us during this process. Matter of fact, all the contractors that have been working for us for over 2 years on this project. And generally you will only see them inside the cities. They do drive their own vehicles, very well marked. They are in bright clothing, stated that they work a contractor for Westar Energy. The rest will all be employees and company vehicles and so on and so forth. We knock on every door prior to the exchange. That includes apartments, townhomes, whatever it might be. The power outage, I like this, typically less than 5 minutes. It's typically less than 30 seconds that you'll have a power outage there at the house as we exchange meters. The energy dashboard, which I will show you, there is an automatic sign up for online customers. So if a customer is already has an online account with Westar Energy, they automatically start getting the energy dashboard the second they sign back on. So the energy dashboard, and this is where I mentioned earlier that the consumers can see exactly what their costs are in up-to-date moments. It starts down here and it can tell you your electric costs. This is kind of an older thing here, and I know it's hard to read up there, but it says as of October 16th on this projected account, that if they keep using electricity at the same rate that they're using it, by the October 19th when this bill gets read, their bill will be $139. It's projected that that is what their cost will be at the end. Okay. So they can actually come on here at 5 days after their bill was read and start seeing what their, even a couple days, and start seeing what their electric usage is going to look like as time goes on. Tells them what their electric usage is down 20% compared to the last billing period, so the last month, up or down. Nobody ever likes to see that go up. It also gives them a peak demand. All the meters can register a peak, but very few customers are actually billed off that. It's actually an old rate that is grandfathered in, and but it will also allow you to see when you're using your most load as well. Account alerts, it's the same thing. It just goes out there from your dashboard. Like I mentioned, you can set alerts. You can ask that, hey, when my bill reaches $75 for the month, I need to know that because I probably need to start curtailing. And so on and so forth. You can set these any way you want. You can do every 7 days, send me a cost report and usage. That's what I get every day or every week. It's usually a depressing way to start my Monday mornings when I get that. Or just at the end of the billing period, send me an email. Okay. This is exactly what I get. I don't know that I've ever seen one that says I only owed $42.89. So not with teenagers. And so, but this is the email I get once a week. Comes in, tells me what I used last week. It breaks it down every single day. My associate with me, Rick, had an air conditioning problem over the summer. Didn't realize it till he went out there and started looking all of a sudden at why in the world am I using so much every day? This is ridiculous. This isn't right. Started finding out that his air conditioner working 24 hours a day, never stopping. So was able to help him realize that and get things straight. Just kind of showing the Leavenworth division. When we talk about Leavenworth, it butts all the way up to what we call the Atchison division. So we're actually up there at the same time with a few people. We'll really start into Atchison in that area after we get done here. But so when we say an area, that is the area that we will go in and cover.
The notices, if you found one of those on your door, have you started or are you going to do it?
You are started.
Because I found one today.
Okay, so you got a new meter today.
Yeah.
I'm really sorry, but your clocks were probably blinking.
They were, and I
that's the
noticed a power
aggravating part.
outage too, yeah.
That's how I knew you guys were in my house yesterday.
Yeah, that's the aggravating part, I have to admit. So, you have received a meter. So that door hanger tells you and it explains to you, and I'll hand some of these out, exactly how to go on, log on, and use that information as is. So.
Okay.
Our contact information, Chad is one of my counterparts over the meter shop and he's more of our technical guy. And so then Rick, that I have with me here today, he is our project manager for the AMI systems. So he is headlining everything for me on the field and deployment and getting everything ready. And Chris Grabby, she is our local supervisor over the field customer service. And I have all our numbers for you as well, that at any time, please feel free to give us a call and on any questions or any concerns. I will tell you that I have sent emails to the local Leavenworth County Sheriff's Department, as well as the Chief of Police.
Okay.
Responded back with them, back and forth, letting them know in areas. Just, you got all these people wandering around your city, you probably would like to know why they're there. And
Right.
so on and so forth. So just making sure they're very well aware of what we're doing.
Okay. All right. Any questions of
No. I'll let you know how it goes.
Westar? Did you say you had some handouts for us?
I did, yes.
Go ahead and take those.
I've got several things for you, and that includes some of the radio frequency, the smart meters information sheet that we like to share with customers.
Okay.
Whenever they ask or whenever they have concerns. That allows, a lot of the information on here that a lot of people have troubles deciphering and stuff, and we like to be able to share honestly with them.
Thank you.
I forgot to binder, sorry.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you.
Okay, next item on the agenda, review the stormwater program and annual fee.
Madam Mayor and Commissioners, by my count, this will be our 6th study session talking about this very important item, the proposed stormwater program. I'm going to recap just basically briefly how we got here starting in early May. We did a system overview for the commission and the communities, looking at the age of the infrastructure and the condition of it, and giving a rough estimate of the amount of deferred maintenance. We went from that to the type of fee system. That's when we talked about whether we wanted to do just classification set charges, or we wanted to get into the minutia of calculating impermeable area and so forth. And at that time we went with set charge based on classifications, industrial, residential, commercial, multifamily, and then having some categories or tiers within those, which is a pretty common method for a lot of cities. Then we started talking about collection methods, and we talked about monthly versus property tax. At that point, we paused and had 2 public meetings. We got feedback from the public. We held a meeting at the community center at Fire Station 1. We came back to the commission with that information, and then we selected a method. There was a consensus by the commission to go forward with collection based on property tax. Following that, we started to look at what size program are we going to start with? What are the levels of charge for the classifications, and then within the classifications, the different tiers, keeping in mind downtown and small businesses, but also trying to be equitable across the classes. We found as we adjusted commercial that maybe residential bore a large burden. If we adjusted residential or industrial, then residential maybe absorbed more of the burden. So what we've tried to do is use the collected data from different cities in the state to see how they sort of allocate these funds. We've come up tonight with 5 options. If Mike, you want to put that up to show the commission. That is in your packet. The first one, it's important to look at the bottom number on these, starting with the smallest amount being $1.2 million in annual revenue collection, going to 1.47. 2.18, that is sort of our benchmark middle number. We looked at that as a way to take about an 80-year backlog of projects and turn it into a 40-year program. So then we wanted to give the commission some flexibility on either side, because this is a new fee, because we haven't done this before. So we have more aggressive options, and then we have some less aggressive options. Within those, as you'll see in the commercial and industrial, we've tried to keep it as simple as we can. We went with 4 classifications in commercial and 3 in industrial. That may need some tweaking, but we have to start somewhere. We tried not to do, you know, a different classification for every 1,000 square feet or every 2,000 square feet. So that's where we've come. So we want to start the discussion tonight on 1, if you'd like to select one of these methods, or 2, if you'd like to discuss sort of how we've parsed this out.
Yeah, I think we need to discuss how it was parsed out. This is the first we've seen.
Yes,
those numbers.
yes, and yep.
There won't be any decisions made tonight. This is the first. Let's get a little information, and then I think we have someone in the audience that wants to address the commission as well. So I want to hear what you've got.
So some more information, and then I'll have Mike go into sort of what we're looking at year 1 and year 2. When you look at this and you put it on the property taxes, the funding won't start coming in until the end of 2018. And so you really start looking at designing the program in the second half of 2018 and then into 2019. And at that time, and leading up to that, the commission's going to have the flexibility to decide what they want to do as far as, do you want to commission a stormwater system inventory and data? We have a lot of that, but there may be some value in that. We're looking at hiring a stormwater project manager to help develop the program. So the development of the program is also going to be dependent on what level the commission elects to go with. So Mike will kind of run you through sort of our plan for year 1 and year 2, and then go from there.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. Madam Mayor, Commissioners, this is kind of the highlights of what we think you can accomplish in the first year. There's some process as far as apparently there's a need for a charter ordinance that would need to be passed to create a new fee, and City Clerk can explain more of that than I can. And then there would need to be an ordinance related to creation of the program and some other things. So there's a bureaucratic component to the first year, and a goal would be to submit whatever our fee is. It need to be an annual exercise, however, if there were changes, but certainly the first year we need to get it to the county for inclusion. We need to get to them by basically July, so they can include it in the 2018 property tax statements. So you can't really count on any revenue coming in until the property tax statements are mailed. It's conceivable you could have some in December, but I certainly wouldn't want to borrow money against that. The program development, as City Manager indicated, we have a lot of information. We've shared some of that in the public meetings and with the Commission on the types of materials that we have, their general condition, where they're located. I think it's fair to say that we know more now than we did when we completed the last major stormwater study, which was 1995. But a lot of that information is still good. Things haven't gone anywhere. They've just gotten older and in some cases much worse. So working with the commission, we would want to make sure that we've identified our program goals for the upcoming many years. What are we trying to accomplish? And through that, we can identify various projects, prioritize our needs, and certainly start the design on smaller projects, as we know there are a number of them throughout the community that we've previously identified. There's going to need to be information distributed to our citizens about what we're doing and how we're doing it. This is a new program, it's a new fee. And ultimately, at some point late in the year, we would advertise and select a stormwater program manager to help manage all of this. That's pretty ambitious. I think it's worth noting that the revenue for that year is essentially the CIP sales tax revenue of about $350,000. We have other money in the budgeted in CIP and our other budgets to construct the two projects we've talked about with the commission, project at the end of 16th Terrace off of Lemon Street or Viola Street, and culvert project we just recently discussed at 14th and Cheyenne. That's a year's worth of work. The second year, we believe that we can move forward smartly on what we call the orange fence projects. Those are the ones that we think we would have resources within our operating budget the first year to design projects to do them, do the repairs or replacements or upgrades on many or not most of those. And if we have need coming out of the first year, I think you're going to see the opportunity to further do an assessment of the system if we need to get specific, more general, and you can do greater in-depth assessment of some of the newer technologies. They actually have the little aerial drones. They can fly them up pipes as small as 3 foot in diameter and take pictures and do scans of them. We have yet to see that, but I've been told it's possible. The prioritization schedule that we developed in 1995 with Black and Beach has a lot of merit, even though some of the assumptions back then have been overtaken with new regulations and legislation. In 2015, working with the commission, we identified the goal was to construct real projects that help real people with real problems, not necessarily in floodplains and things. And that's what's led us to some other projects that are now complete. However, the two that we talked about would be constructed in next year came out of that effort working with the commission and ensure that make sure our priorities that the staff is working on are consistent with what the commission will be working on. And I think it's kind of the bureaucratic thing to do is you identify a 5-year plan coming out of the work in the first 2 years. When you start having meaningful money arrive in the second year and the third year, so what do you want to do with it in a 5-year time frame? Identify those projects or those maintenance priorities and find a design firm to get them designed so we can begin work on some of the larger projects in, say, the third and fourth years of the program.
And that's the first you'd likely to see any kind of bond issue with this as a revenue stream where you could do large projects, 5, 6, 7, 10 stone archery placements at once. You'd probably come out of year 2 into year 3 and 4 where you could then bond those projects together. This is sort of our initial plan.
Explain to me these units. What does a unit mean? You're talking about single-family units, so you're talking about single-family homes as one unit.
Yes.
Okay, so when you're talking about multifamily is the same, so you're talking about single apartments, right? And single duplexes, or each single unit, whatever's.
A duplex would be 2 units, a fourplex would be 4
Right,
units.
got it. Okay, I understand that. Now explain commercial and industrial.
The units in that instance would be one building.
Okay, so
This-
45 buildings would be
There's 45 buildings under 1,500 square
under
feet.
1,500 square
under your
feet.
Commercial.
And there's 35 buildings that are over 9,000 square feet, and each building would have to pay
Yes.
$4,500.
Yes.
Seems like a lot. I don't know what to say.
You're gonna get a lot of objection.
Well, I'm sure, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
the,
mean,
the real puzzle in this is having a meaningful program, and then once you sort of define what a meaningful program is to make a dent in this problem, you can allocate it however you want. And what we've done is the traditional residential and then commercial at a higher rate, but these are usually a lot of times small businesses.
Right.
And then industrial is traditionally, and in every case, in any stormwater fee, then charged a higher fee than that. One thing we did look at is 9,000 may be too small. We may need to do a fourth category in industrial. We did a scatter plot where we saw, is it 9,000 to 15,000 and then 15,000 plus? Do we create some more flexibility in that industrial, so a building that was 10,000 isn't treated the same as a building that's 200,000 square feet. But any way you turn in this, somebody's going to be on the wrong side of a number
Okay.
as far as that. But that's certainly something we could explore, is adding or removing more classifications. This is a system we're designing.
Okay. Greg, did you want to come talk to the commission here for a minute?
Sure.
Greg Cos wanted to speak tonight. I told him he could.
Microphone tonight.
Greg Cos, 5037 South 4th Street. I talked to Nancy and to Paul earlier. I guess I've got a lot of questions about this. First of all, there definitely is a need in Leavenworth for the storm sewer
Right.
improvements. I've seen them, and there's no question there. But the devil's obviously in the details. My understanding is this is a fee, it's not a tax.
Right.
Therefore, the fee is charged to nonprofits.
Yes.
Yes.
What about the county?
Yes.
The county would pay it. What about the water department?
Well, it's every building.
Yes.
I mean, every,
Okay. All the water department's land is titled in the city of Leavenworth, so the city of Leavenworth will pay it also. The
Good
devil's in
point.
the details here.
good point, good point.
What about the VA?
Yes.
Yes.
That's why we did it as a
Okay,
fee.
I
As a
just-
fee instead of a tax, yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
So
anything
how would
is,
you do the VA, because there's multiple buildings, but it's all in one track? It's unzoned. I don't think there is a zoning for the VA.
No, actually, it's on our zoning map and it is zoned. We looked at the total of the buildings to put it into one classification rather than trying to do each individual building.
So it'd just be $1,300 or $4,500?
It would be 4,500 or the maximum size.
How's it zoned?
I believe that's zone commercial. I'd have to look at the map.
So it would fall under the
It would
1,300?
fall under the 1,300,
And that's the same as St. Mary's, I believe.
yeah.
Okay,
And the hospitals would be commercial as well.
okay. And then the city property, basically, the service center would be industrial. You take it from the right hand to the left hand?
Well, and the city properties themselves would not pay, they would not be charged the fee.
But the water department would,
The water-
but their property is titled in the city of Leavenworth.
The way we set it up, yes, right now, and that's some of the details.
You see where I'm coming here?
Yeah,
Where is the north city limits? Is the prison, is Fort Leavenworth included?
It's north city limits is north boundary 411.
yeah.
So what about Fort Leavenworth?
Fort Leavenworth technically would be built.
Would that be one building?
yeah, so that's what I was wondering too. I mean, you've got one large piece of land that could be split up.
Yeah.
I don't know how
A
you
big
split it
portion of
up.
Fort Leavenworth doesn't use our stormwater
It's
system.
about 95% of it goes elsewhere than the city, through the main part of the city.
Okay.
That's the detail.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay. I guess those are some of the questions I have. Probably more importantly is the distinction between industrial versus commercial. And my understanding is you're going to do it off the zoning.
We're doing it off of zoning map.
So what if you have a house that is sitting in an area that's zoned I-1?
It would get billed as the residential rate if it's being used as residential.
The same with like a car dealership,
The car dealership would be a commercial use.
even though it's in an I-1.
Most likely it would end up in the I-1.
Yeah, because we also have homes that are in a commercial zoning. They're being built on residential, at least the
Yeah.
information set in here.
Our initial position is if it is a residential structure in a commercial or industrial zone, it would be billed at the residential rate if it's being used for residential purposes.
But if it's commercial and it's in an industrial, it'll be billed at the industrial.
Well, that's where I'd start.
Yes. That was
Well,
the way we set the.
I guess what intrigues me is that the industrial rate is 6 times higher than what the commercial rate
Yeah.
is.
Yeah, I noticed that too.
And just one example would be Walmart would pay $1,300 a year. It's a commercial. Hallmark cards would pay $4,500 a year. But yet the water that falls on Walmart is probably the same water that would fall on Hallmark. I don't see 6 times difference in the treatment of the water. Now, what hits me more closely is our shop, Lexico Shop on 2nd Street. We have buildings that are on the one lot where our shop is an acre, and we're over 9,000 square feet. So we're gonna pay $4,500, the same as what Hallmark pays, but yet Walmart pays $1,300.
And that's one of the things we started looking at here, realizing we're gonna have to tweak these categories some.
But I mean, I guess why is industrial 6 times more than commercial? Should the industrial be the same as commercial? Water's water. I mean, basically, it should be based off of permeable and impermeable ground, because that's what you're doing, but I know that's tough to do.
And we did look at that option.
We
yes.
talked about it, but yeah, it was hard during our studies.
In your larger commercial and your industrial are probably similar in the fact that you've got your parking areas plus your dock areas and stuff. Most of your smaller commercial areas, you may have just parking areas and no dock areas. So the impervious area in that or the building structure itself is kind of smaller. Even though we're not looking at the impervious surface on that, the totality of the industrial versus the commercial is a little different. Yeah. And again,
Is it
that's-
6 times different?
Yeah, that I'm not sure.
I mean, I guess I'm
Yeah, and-
struggling
and-
a little bit with that.
Yeah, and again, that's part of the tweaking we were looking at doing to the categories under the commercial
And I mean,
industrial.
right now, we're paying $10,389 a year for real estate taxes on the shop. If we go up $4,500, which is the minimum, that's almost $15,000. That's a 43% increase in taxes and fees. I mean, that's a huge increase.
Yeah, that's a lot of money.
No, yeah, even, I have a building downtown, and on this, I'm looking at $1,500. My husband hasn't seen this, but he's gonna have that same reaction you're having. Yeah,
You know, and you have even out in the industrial park, you know, Fastenals, the Cane and Stones, you know, they're in an industrial area, so they're gonna pay the higher rate. I guess I just really have a little bit of issue with that. You know, Abel's Field is another one, which obviously is speculation ground. We're paying $6,500 a year. Based off of the buildings that are out there, which will eventually be torn down, they would pay $3,000 in this fee. That's a 46% increase. If it goes up to the maximum, it'd be $7,000. That'd be a 108% increase in taxes and fees. So I guess I just really have some questions on the inequality between the industrial and the commercial.
Well, and I just was confused about why, I mean, I guess I still don't understand what is the difference between industrial and commercial in regard to fee structures. I mean, because you're talking about square foot in both of them. I mean,
In the industrial category, you tend to have, as was mentioned, larger implementations of parking runoff, and it's not a perfect
we've
alignment.
discussed that before.
Yeah.
That's not always true.
It's not always true, but the industrial properties tend to be quite a bit larger with a lot of other uses that impact drainage. So it is where we started out.
Okay.
And I'm not criticizing you guys either, because I know it's a tough job and it's tough to find something that's fair.
Right.
Well, it's like, so this is our first look at
Right.
it. So
Yeah.
we need
Yes,
to-
your input's is
And
good.
we've gotten to the most critical part of it and the most painful, where you're actually looking at, okay, how are we really gonna charge people? I mean,
Right.
this is the meat and the potatoes of the whole program.
And I know it's been brought up too, that you have a business that comes in and builds, and they're doing their own detention, they're doing their own BMPs to discharge clean water, but they pay the same as the business that doesn't.
That doesn't, yeah.
I mean, I know it's hard. The other thing, we've got a beautiful new industrial park, and all of a sudden we're gonna put a higher tax on the businesses that are going out there.
Mhm.
So we're trying to get business, but yet we're gonna tax them more.
Well, since we're covering the entire city though with this, they're not paying any more or less, and it's an equal amount of pain for everybody.
Sure,
That's the
but
goal
we're
there.
competing against other towns, Tonganoxie,
Yeah.
Right.
Lansing, Kansas City, and everything else too.
Right,
So we need to
right.
be competitive tax-wise.
Oh,
Well,
definitely.
and this is just a new thing for us. I mean,
Right.
this is not
Right.
right. And the idea of, the individual business who may now control their water better than they did 20 years ago is good, but their customers are still driving over stormwater infrastructure on the streets to get there, and it's still a citywide issue.
Citywide, yeah.
And I agree. This is why this part was last. It's the hardest part to determine, the spreading of it. So it's really a direction from the commission on which way you want to go.
I'm surprised you haven't had more comments, but
No, we're not the first city to implement this. I mean, even Lawrence has done a lot of water mitigation and stormwater improvements, and they had to settle on how do we start paying for, maintenance and repair.
I've seen some things on Facebook, but it's like, we've had 3 meetings, and nobody came,
Yep.
and then people are talking about, well, these fees, but
Well, as
there's,
he pointed out, we've had 6 study sessions here alone,
Yeah.
and then we had our other meetings, and as you pointed out, you see how few people they get to show. So, this is the first time that we've actually had to look at these fees and
So I would-
from
I would
someone
bet-
personally.
I would bet some people won't complain till they get their first bill.
That's what's going to happen. That's what's going to happen. Yeah.
But, no, I mean, that's why we're publicizing all this. That's why we've been out there, because we need input.
sure.
Yeah.
And I
Yes.
appreciate you coming tonight, and
And I went to the meeting at the community center, was there for a little bit, and I asked about the fees, and, well, we're working on that.
we didn't have anything, yeah.
Didn't have
We hadn't
anything,
even
so-
seen
Right,
anything
right.
yet.
I had no objections. Yeah, I think the work needs to be done. I mean, it's bad.
Right.
Yeah,
So, thank you for letting me speak.
thank you.
very much.
Thank you for coming.
Yes, appreciate that.
And a couple things we do have working for us is if you look at the single family, if you just go from 60 to 75, that generates about 130,000 more, which you could use to ease the burden on
Yeah.
industrial and commercial.
That's true.
We started relatively low at $60, which is $5 a month. You go to $6 or $7 a month, and all of a sudden, you can lower the industrial rates by half.
It's true.
Because it's only $255,000 total from industrial. So there's no right way to do it, but there's just the best way that we can come up with.
Well, I'm glad he came in, because it's,
Yeah.
I mean, it's good to have that input and to realize what, before it gets too far down the road.
Right.
Yeah, and
Right.
even like where you're looking at, like the industrial units where it's 33, 16, and 35, I don't know, how many, maybe it might be an individual look at what some of these examples probably are.
Yeah.
And see how, how different properties are affected on this, and put that into the mix somehow.
Well, it has to be done over our whole town. It'd be nice if we just had charged everybody in town $1. Yeah, do it that way. And everybody would, every person, man, woman, and child, it would be,
Yeah,
it would be a start then. All right, we need to go back to the drawing board, I think, and look at this some more.
Yeah, I mean,
I think the $4,500 over with the same size buildings, over that 1,300 is,
so is there
Is a lot
any,
more.
to get a little more direction, is the 75 a tenable number on residential?
I think so.
Okay,
I
that
think
gives us
so.
something to work with. We can play with the numbers to whatever
Yeah.
the commission desires.
Right.
It's just whatever you do to one affects the other one.
Right. All right, that's 8,000 units. I don't know how many dollars that is, but yeah, I think looking at those and tweaking them
Yeah.
to make it a little bit more equitable. Okay.
and honestly, I think, probably, I don't know, I was gonna fit the timeline, but I think now that there are really dollar figures, you're still gonna maybe need to do some public outreach for this.
Yeah. Yep.
Any thoughts on the overall goal that we look at? We have the tier 1 at 1.2, and then we go to 1.47, with the 2.1 sort of being the middle. Are we looking more toward that lower end of the 1.2 to 1.4 area
I think so. I don't know what y'all think.
to at least get the program
Get it started.
for the
Right.
first at least 5 years? Okay.
Yeah. We
So
just
we
need to
can
get
take
something
that
started.
feedback and maybe feedback that we get from tonight and that the commission gets over the next couple of months and come back with something that sort of works with maybe adding some industrial for some really large users, maybe increasing the residential a little bit to sort of offset that.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Anything else, guys?
All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next item, we need to open a special meeting. Is there a motion to open a special meeting? To go into executive, so we can go into executive
Looking for the
session.
wording here? Okay, do you need me to read the whole thing?
You just need to open a special
We need
meeting.
to open the meeting first.
Okay, I'll make a motion to open a special meeting.
I'll second.
Been moved and seconded, please begin voting. Commissioner Rainey?
Aye.
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 Okay, we are in special meeting.
Okay.
Okay, now we need to go into executive session.
Need a motion for that, okay.
Yes.
Madam Mayor, I move that the City Commission recess into executive session to discuss the annual performance review of the city manager pursuant to the non-elected personnel matter, exception KSA 754319B. 1, the opening meeting to resume in the City Commission chamber at, how much time do we need?
8:10. We need
8:10?
15 minutes.
Okay, 8:10 by the clock in the City Commission chambers, and have the Human Resources Director, Lana Lanter, to be present during the executive session.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. Please begin voting. Commissioner Weekly?
Aye.
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 Okay, we're in executive session. Okay,
You guys need to
now we
wait till
have
8.
moved to,
You got a couple more minutes.
oh, we do?
Yeah.
8:10.
Well, we are, okay. Well, not according to my watch, but okay.
Yeah, it's falling. I love this pen, but it's falling apart. Okay, we're good.
Finish the coffee.
Keep this page.
Okay, you're good.
We're good? All right. We have need to have a motion to close the special meeting.
So moved.
No,
No?
no. You're back in open meeting, so now you just have to have a motion on the next item.
Okay, thank you. Okay. I would like to move to table the consideration of the city manager's salary increase to the December 12, 2017 regular meeting.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Please begin voting. Commissioner Weekly.
Aye.
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 All right.
Forgot about that one, sorry.
Motion
ma'am.
carried.
Okay.
And now,
You can do a motion to adjourn.
okay, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Please begin voting. Commissioner Rainey.
Aye.
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 We are adjourned. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you for keeping us on track.